And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line from Jacob Media, from SI.com, from Philly Voice, from just about everything, and of course, Birds 365 with my friend Jody McDonald on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. John McMullen joins us. What's up there, Johnny Mac?
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Great to catch up with you again. I know we get to do the hit at least during the Jacob Media pregame show. I know we get to talk during the halftime, and halftime was looking good. Last you and I spoke, the Eagles had a 3-point lead, and then the dreadful 3rd and 30 took place. We heard from Jonathan. 3rd and 30. Jeez. I listened to Jonathan Gannon yesterday. I know you were at the press conference and you were asking questions as well. From your interpretation watching it, what do you think happened on that play?
Miscommunication, and you can look at it all around this league, Mark. So many teams play the Vic Fangio-inspired defense in this league now. It's like 12 or a lot of teams, and you see it all over the NFL. When you have these miscommunications on the back end, because the Eagles might be in quarters coverage, they might be in cover 2, cover 3, cover 6, cover 8. A lot of this zone coverage, but all kinds of different zone coverage. And when it busts and when guys aren't communicating, it looks terrible. And generally, the Eagles have been better than just about anybody who runs this defense doing it. And that's a testament to guys like Slay and Bradbury and Avonte Maddox and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson when he was healthy, even Marcus Epps, who's a very savvy player. But when it blows, and they blew the coverage, and it's, I wasn't at the game, first game in 3 years I've missed, so I hope everybody had a happy holiday. But on television, it looked like Slay. But then when you get to watch the all 22, it was Josiah Scott. It was pretty clear. Might have been cover 6, might have been cover 3. The Eagles are never going to tell you that. But it was pretty clear he had the deep end of he was the guy that was supposed to be over the top. And for whatever the reason, he started looking inside, looking at Dak Prescott. And all of a sudden, T.Y. Hilton runs by people. And Slay's looking like, what are you doing, dude? Mm-hmm. So everything in this defense is about miscommunication when you see bust. And that's what happened. And it happened multiple times in that game. They've been good at it for the majority of the year. So you hope it's self-correcting.
Mm-hmm. So when you watch that play, do you go play call or do you go mental mistake by the, I guess, replacement there for Avonte Maddox, Josiah Scott in that spot?
Well, it's a little bit of both, right? Because it's, you should know as the defensive coordinator, all right, I don't have Avonte Maddox, so maybe I simplify things a little bit. Maybe I just play cover 2. It's 3rd and 30. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have all these bells and whistles where people are saying, well, is that cover 3? Is that cover 6? Is it, over the top on one side? Is it man zone on the other side? Are they trying to match up? Cover 2. It's 3rd and 30. Jim Schwartz it. Pickett Pence. Sticks. Maybe a little bit too complicated. But while I say that, lack of execution as well, which is, the player should still be savvy enough to say, hey, it's 3rd and 30. I better get over the top.
Mm-hmm. So looking at it now with Avonte Maddox being out, is life as simple now defensively as, get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back there and have him play slot, and then have Reed Blankenship play the safety spot, and you're all covered. Can life be that simple if CD Deuce is out there playing on Sunday against the Saints?
Well, it would help, but Wednesday today is going to be a big day. If the Eagles start his practice window, that's a good sign. If they don't, it's not a good sign. Mm-hmm. And Nick Sirianni kind of talked about that Monday. I'm trying to get my days right.
Yeah.
Lacerated kidney is a little bit different, high ankle sprain. We know. All right. Is it, lower ankle, higher ankle, 2, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Lacerated kidney. People can go back to Zach Ertz and say, well, Zach missed a week and played in the postseason, but there's different grades, there's different levels, and CJ's already been out 4 weeks. He didn't sound too confident when he was talking about it on Monday. So I think today's going to be a big day. If the Eagles start his practice window, really good sign. If they don't, really bad sign.
I guess there would be another sign there as well for who's going to line up at the right tackle position. Let me ask you, what is your prediction? And then let me also ask you what you would do in that situation if, the dean of Statland University was tapping John McMullen on the shoulder and saying, hey, what should I do with the right tackle spot? What would you do? And what do you think the Eagles will end up doing?
I think Jack Driscoll will be the right tackle, and I think that's what they should do. One, Jack's a pretty good player, right? I mean, he's a good backup. He's not Lane Johnson, but nobody's Lane Johnson. You can move Jordan Mailata to right tackle. He's not Lane Johnson. Then you back two positions. Andre Dillard's got to come in. He's not Jordan Mailata at left tackle. We know that. Those two had a competition, the better players playing. You could also have Andre Dillard play right tackle. A lot of people forget, early in his career, he couldn't change positions. He couldn't do anything else. He's been playing left guard. So maybe they'll throw him in the mix and say, all right, he's gotten far enough along in his career where he can be a little bit more versatile. But Jack Driscoll's played right tackle. That's his natural position. He's been competent at it. And I think short term, the Eagles, you kind of have to peel the onion back, Mark, when they talk about injuries. Like Nick will always say, no timetables, no timetables. Well, he said we're hopeful to get Lane Johnson back for the playoffs. If that's the case, and I think we all know Lane is going to try to play through this, 2 games, Jack Driscoll, go back to Lane Johnson. Question to me is, can he play through this injury? Is it a sports hernia? I'm starting to think that. So, and that's just speculation. But he hurt his abdomen against the Giants. People kind of forget that. And then all of a sudden it's hurt again. That scares me a little bit. But with Avante, they said indefinitely. So that to me is more serious. I don't expect to see him, certainly in that first game of the playoffs. Lane's going to try to play through it. I don't know if he can play through it, but he's going to try. So to me, it's pretty easy. Jack Driscoll, get to the playoffs, Lane Johnson.
Why do you think it is that the Eagles have struggled so much in games where they haven't had Lane Johnson since 2016, more specifically, when you talk about the fact that he missed 10 games that season with the PEDs and then everything went to hell that season? The Eagles win a Super Bowl when a Hall of Famer like Jason Peters goes down and Vaitai steps in to play left tackle. But, man, if Lane Johnson can't play, it seems like this line is shot. Why do you think that is?
I don't think it's shot. Well, number one, he's really good. Number one. I mean, he's riding a record of snaps since they've been charting these things. Most snaps ever without giving up a sack. He's given up 1 quarterback hit in basically 2 years. I mean, this is unbelievable stuff. So it starts with, as Nick Sirianni says, he's the best right tackle in the world. Hyperbole because the world doesn't play football, but you know what he's saying.
Sure.
He's the best right tackle. So even when you have good backups, like Jack Driscoll is, well, there's a big difference between all pro and good backup. So you have a significant step down from talent, just from a talent perspective. Now, I think they're 12-20 without Lane. I think the numbers are. Now, I don't believe in wins and loss as a statistic for a quarterback. So I'm not going to sit there and say it's a good statistic for right tackle. But what I think is relevant, and I think it's fair to point out, that the Eagles tend to be really good when he's on the field, not as good when he's off the field. So it's a concern.
Without Lane Johnson being out there, then, John, what's your confidence that Jalen Hurts would play? And should the Eagles play him if their offensive line is 100%?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting curveball.
Yeah.
To me, if it's 100%, if Jalen's cleared, yeah, he plays. I mean, he's got to play in the playoffs. He's played in the past with, Lane has had to leave with Jack Driscoll. If he's 100%, if there's a gray area, and it's like, we're pushing it, but we need this game. Then I'm like, I'm not messing with my quarterback not at 100% with no Lane Johnson. And look, the Eagles won't admit this, but I'll say it for them. They think they can beat the Saints with Gardner Minshew. So, and they should beat the Saints with Gardner Minshew. So they'll say that doesn't play into it, but it plays into it.
What's your gut telling you as far as Jalen Hurts playing on Sunday? Do you think he does play?
I think he doesn't. But, he's got an SC joint sprain. So there's grades, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. If he's got a grade 1, yeah, he's probably going to play. If it's grade 2, which I think it is from their description, because what I was told is he needs rest and rehab, and he's got to strengthen the shoulder. And if you read sort of the medical documentation, that sounds like grade 2. If it's grade 2, I don't think he's playing. And that's what I think he has. Grade 3 would be surgery. Obviously, he doesn't have the most serious, but I think he has grade 2. And if he has grade 2, I don't think they're going to play him.
All right. So if Gardner Johnson is playing, you said that they should be able to beat the Saints without him. The Eagles think they don't need Jalen Hurts to beat the Saints, and they could win with Gardner Minshew. Do you think they will win if Gardner Minshew is their starting quarterback on Sunday?
Yeah. I mean, they should have won the Cowboys game if they didn't turn the stinking football over. And, I was talking to one of the offensive coaches today, and he said, all right, turn it over once, twice, okay. 4 times? I mean, Mark, this team is 13-0 when they don't turn it over 4 times. If you just turn it over once or twice, they win that game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They think they beat themselves. And some people might say that's an excuse, blah, blah, blah. It's a credible excuse, because they were right there with a -3 turnover ratio. Usually if you're -3 and you turn it over 4 times, you're getting beat by 2 touchdowns, 20 points. They had the ball inside the 20 with a chance to win the game. They beat themselves with Gardner Minshew on the road.
I think the first interception was on Minshew. The first fumble they had, where I think it was a handoff read option to Boston Scott. Yeah, that was definitely the Eagles giving the ball away in those 2 instances. But I think the other 2, I think the Cowboys made great plays. I think Lamb made a great play on the interception. And then Miles Sanders needs to hold on to that ball, but the ball got poked loose as well. So I do give credit for 2 of the turnovers.
Sure. Yeah. One was an unforced error. That was the mesh point with Gardner and Boston Scott. One was a bad fumble by Miles Sanders. The 2 interceptions, I'm a little bit torn on, because Quez has to understand they weren't the best throws. I'm not trying to let Gardner Minshew off the hook, but you have to help your quarterback. And if you have to turn into a defensive back, you have to turn into a defensive back. You got to fight for that football. And it's not about catching the football. I think everybody is focused on that 50-50 ball. No, just knock it down. I'm fine with an incomplete pass. Just make sure the defender doesn't catch the football. So we always talk about backup quarterbacks and people rising to the occasion to make up for the backup quarterback. Well, Quez Watkins didn't rise to the occasion. He's got to help his quarterback on both of those throws. And again, he doesn't have to catch it. He's just got to make sure the defender doesn't catch it. And he did a bad job. And the Eagles know it.
I agree with that. Last thing for you, John, thank you. And you're being very nice with your time here. When it comes to the outside linebacker position, less Kazir White, more Nakobe Dean, where are you at on those 2?
No, Nakobe's turn will come. Kazir didn't play well in Dallas, but by and large, he's had a pretty good season. That was probably his worst game, so I get why people are asking. But that's a small sample size. Overall, this defense has been very good. They've had some hiccups. Everybody has some hiccups, except maybe San Francisco. And even San Francisco had the Kansas City game. That's just the modern NFL. Everybody gets gashed. Dallas is getting gashed every week. and they had one of the best defenses. And now they're saying, what the heck's going on? Good offense beats good defense in this league now. It used to be the opposite, except for San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco is like they have a revolving door of quarterbacks, and it's like, doesn't matter. Then we're going to get someone to play adequately, and then the defense is just going to dominate, and that's all we're going to need.
Yeah.
It's a wild thing. John, great catching up with you as always. Thanks so much for coming on. I know I'll talk to you again on Sunday for Eagles-Saints pregame, and you'll also be doing the halftime hit with Devin Caney, and, of course, the postgame hit as well for the Pond Hockey postgame show on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. John, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Absolutely great. John McMullen checking in from the Jacob Media YouTube channel as well as SI.com.